Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is OmenXIII. You're watching UNMUZZLED with Underground Underdogs.
So, where did the name OmenXIII originate from?
The name OmenXIII originates from the way I feel that the world views me, and the way the world has always viewed like my opinions, even in the beginning of making music and stuff like that. Like, if you look into it, like an omen actually isn't really a bad thing. It's just a divine intervention. It could be good or bad. And same with the number 13. It's unlucky in Western culture usually, but in a lot of Eastern culture, it can be considered sacred and it can be a very good thing or a very lucky thing. So I think that the way I handle the name OmenXIII is like, yeah, it's kind of an aggressive name to a lot of people, but if you actually sat down and got to know me, you would know that I'm just kind of like everybody else, I feel. Even if my opinions are a little bit darker up front.
So, everyone's dying to know where you're from originally.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that I've made it this far without people knowing exactly where I'm from, but people are starting to get a good handle on it. It's obvious I'm from SoCal at this point. I'm always in Southern California. I'm always popping up at events in Southern California, so I'll at least give them that. I live in SoCal. I live in the IE.
We'll never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you know what the IE is, like, you might know. So.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
So, you're from the SoCal area, but what's really interesting is you're like really big in China right now.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Accident. Like, one day I just started having a lot of Chinese people hit me up, like, in my email, and I didn't really think that it was, like, much to be bothered by, so I honestly ignored it for about 6 months to a year, maybe even a little longer than that. And then, like, it got to a point where I was like, why are so many Chinese people hitting me up? And then, like, I found out that I have a song in China that has, like, estimated, like, 40 million plays or something like that. And it's, like, it's my song Black Sheep, which is really, honestly, a pretty depressing song, I feel. I made that song a long time ago. After work one day, I worked, like, night shift at a warehouse, and I got off work at, like, 4:30 a.m. and went home and wrote that song, you know what I mean? Shout out Nobody for the beat, because that beat is sick as fuck. But, like, I guess that song just got posted to some social media website in China, and then it got really fucking big. And then now they just, like, now they fuck with me.
And so, you just went on tour in
Yeah.
China not too long ago. What was that experience like?
That experience was pretty crazy. It was like an 8-city tour. The first show was a festival with 10,000 people called AO Music Festival. And like their summer tours, or their summer festivals are even bigger, and they want me to come back to that. But it was like nuts, like being on stage in front of 10,000 people, and like they all had their like cell phone lights out and shit like that. And, like, they're all like trying to vibe with the music, even though they don't speak English and shit. And even though I don't speak Chinese, like, I feel like that was just so surreal, mostly because it wasn't in America, and I am American, and I put a lot of work out over here and shit like that. To be like recognized so highly over there was just a trip. But it was cool. It was really cool to travel and shit. It was really cool to like go to Shanghai and Beijing and shit like that. Like I never thought I would go to the place that I saw the Olympics at a few years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just never would have imagined that for myself. So it just made me feel like a lot of shit is more attainable in life. And it made me feel like you can really do a lot with a little bit, because, you know, I never really had too much push to get me to China. You know what I mean? Just music, just a song, just one song.
Yeah, it shows how far the scope of your music can really reach.
Right, you know, and it's just one song. Like, I'm unsigned, no label, like, no manager push it, I have no distribution. Like, but still that one song, like, got me overseas and in front of 10,000 people the first show, and like the rest of the shows are still pretty big too, like 500 people. Like, it's nuts.
Bigger than your American shows.
Yeah, bigger than my American shows for sure. It was nuts.
And so you talked about being independent, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize how independent you've been able to maintain your career
Right.
as. So can you elaborate on that a little bit? And why you value that independence?
I value the independence more and more every day, just because I still have it and I'm still maintaining it and it's still working for me. Like, I've been independent as a musician since 2015. I would say the end of 2015 was when I really started making music. Actually, beginning in 2015, I think. The end of 2014, I started making beats, and then that evolved into me just starting to rap over my own shit because I didn't know who to send the beats to, and I didn't know how to get other people to rap on the beats. So I was like, I'll rap on the beats, because I used to be a vocalist in a band, so it wasn't that far-fetched for me to go from doing vocals in this aspect to doing vocals in a different aspect. And, ever since then, like, I've recorded everything myself in my room. I mix everything myself in my room. Like, I've never paid for studio time. I've never had a manager. I've never had, like, you know what I mean? I don't have family, really. Like, I don't have anybody, like, to fall back on besides myself. So I think I value that, too, just the fact that I was able to risk it all and, like, quit my jobs and fucking just make music with nothing to fall back on and just fucking do it because I had nothing else going for me, So I feel like that's why I really value it so much.
So, what can you tell me about your project In the Bedroom, I Confess?
I could tell you honestly anything about that because to me, like, that shit was just made, like, totally pure and organically. Like, me and Lil Peep met on SoundCloud messages, actually, which is really, like, weird because nobody uses SoundCloud messages anymore for shit, to be honest. It's pretty dead. But we met, like, because I had a project with, because I've always been a huge SESH fan, so I was leasing instrumentals from Drip 1 through 3 and Drew the Architect. And, like, Pete was a pretty big SESH fan back in those days, you know what I mean? And, like, he was like, hey, I really like the project you did with Drip. Like, I really like some of the stuff you did with Drew. We should make music. And I went on his page and, like, he was pretty much just rapping at that time, not really even singing all that much. And, like, I fucked with his music, like, just genuinely. Like, I had, like, literally probably, like, 80 followers on SoundCloud, and he had probably, like, 30 followers on SoundCloud at the time. So it was just, like, really organic, and, like, there were definitely no ulterior motives, I felt, you know what I'm saying? So when we did that project, it was probably one of the funnest projects I've done with someone else. And actually, one of the only projects I've done with someone else, besides Perp Dog, who's a producer. But I mean, like, another rapper or another vocalist, I think that's the only project I've ever done with another vocalist.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, actually.
Till just now?
Yeah, I just thought about it. I mean, I might be tripping. No, I did a tape with Eddie Baker last year.
Oh, okay.
But that was, like, real recent, you know what I mean? Like,
few.
that's still a really big gap, so, like, to just, like, I really do still, like, appreciate that tape, you know what I mean, in a lot of ways.
And so, back in August, there was an artist who's discovered to have been stealing your flows and lyrics as well as Lil Peep's.
Right.
What was your reaction to that once you found out about it?
Well, see, the thing is that I brought it up in August, but I had known about it a bit before then. Like, somebody had brought that attention to my DMs, I can't remember when, but it was a few months before that, and I vocalized how I felt about it then, even just, like, I said, like, LOL about the song or something like that, like, on the song, like, and it's pretty obvious what that means, like, you use 16 bars of my lyrics, word for word, and didn't even switch up not a single word, like, and I'm saying LOL on the song, like, you know what that means, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion. But then, like, they went out of their way, like, I don't know who the hell he signed to, but they went out of their way to do, like, this high-budget music video for the song that they had already stolen the lyrics from. And then on top of that, all of a sudden, all these Lil Peep lyrics, after I brought that up, a bunch of Lil Peep lyrics that he had stolen started surfacing too, because apparently he already had a bad rep for this, but there was nobody vocalizing it, or nobody big enough vocalizing it for people to give a fuck, I guess. And then it surfaced that he stolen lyrics from, like, I must have literally received like 7 peep songs with like direct lyrics. You know what I mean? And he did like interpolation from like 9 Inch Nails. He did interpolation from like Johnny Cash, which is like that I can kind of see a little bit more as interpolation. But he was stealing songs from like Lil Peep songs that very few people would probably know like off the top of their heads, like some old Lil Peep shit from like 2015, like early 2015, and it's like you know what you're doing. Like, you're not taking, like, any of his famous lines. You're not taking any of his this and that. Like, you know what you're doing. So it got to a point where I just got so frustrated because it's intentional. And it's obviously intentional. You know what I mean? And for you to go and already know that I'm displeased by the fact that you use my lyrics, and then you do, like, a fucking crazy expensive video shoot and try to drop it on Elevator and promote that shit as if it was yours and ride with it like that. Like, that's a whole different level of just, like, disrespect to me. You know what I mean?
What's your reaction to people saying that you actually brought more attention to the video?
I did bring more attention to the video, but I brought the right kind of attention to the video. It's different. Like, if I didn't say anything, the video still would have done fine. The song, honestly, is actually a pretty good song. No cap. You know what I mean? Like, but that's not the point. Like, I don't really give a fuck how good the song is. Like, those are my feelings, those are my words, that's my work right there, and I'm not getting anything for it. You know, I'm not even getting the recognition for it because you want to be silent about it.
So when you started making music, what motivated you to keep going in the early days?
Just the fact that it was an escape from my actual reality, which was working 2 jobs and hating it, and dropping out of college because I couldn't do that either. And then just feeling like my life was at a dead end because I didn't want to go to school. I couldn't get, like, I was working at, like, a warehouse, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a shitty reality to wake up to every day and to feel like you can't escape from it. So music was definitely my escape from that. And, like, even to see just, like, one person commenting on that shit going, hey, I like this song or something like that. Like, one person caring about something that I actually cared about, like, just meant so much more to me than, you know, 100 people caring about the place that I worked at that I hated working at or something like that, for example.
What advice would you give to an artist that's, you know, maybe in a similar situation, just starting out?
Don't stop. Don't do it for anybody else besides you. Don't ask for opinions. Don't share your links with people. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I mean, post your links on your social medias and shit, but I mean, like, directly. Like, don't, like, spam your links,
yeah.
like, directly in people's inboxes and shit. Like, that's not a good approach. Like,
Not the wave.
People have to find it and gravitate towards it. Like, that is the way. I've never sent a link of music to somebody that wasn't my, like, actual friend that wanted to hear it. Like, I've never sent a link to a stranger type shit. Like, ever.
Hey, bro, check out my SoundCloud.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, I'm not just, you know, it's not really about downplaying, like, people that do that. It's more about, like, what do you have to do, right? And, like, what I feel like you have to do is just work hard, drop music, find a lane, make a lane, stay in your lane, you know. And, like, what are you about? Like, you have to be about it. You have to say that you're about it, but you have to show that you're about it. You have to prove that you're about it. You got to go out and do shows. You got to go out and just be seen, even if you don't get paid in the beginning. Like, I even do shows for free sometimes nowadays. Like, if it's really local, like something in LA, like, I'll pull up, do 2-3 songs and fucking leave. Why? Because I fucking love my city. I love music. And I love fucking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I just like doing this shit. So it's like there's certain things you have to do to, like, you know, if you care, other people can care too. But people have to really see that you care. Like, you have to put your all into it. You can't just want it as an escape. You can't just want it as an out. It has to be more than just an escape. At some point, it has to be your life. And it has to be a way that you want to live. And it has to be something that you're willing to sacrifice everything for. And it's like, when people finally see that in you is when people are really going to believe in you. But a lot of people don't go all in. A lot of people are scared to like their own music. A lot of people are scared to release their own shit. Like, I've released at least, I feel like 300 songs by now.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I don't get hung up on anything. Like, my album Hacker dropped in December. I'm working on another album right now. I don't care. Like, it's all good. Like, for me, my music is just a diary of where I'm at that point in time and where my head's at. I just express how I feel, and I just put that shit out, and like people resonate if they resonate because it's real. You know what I'm saying? And then I just move on. Like, right now, I'm feeling different than I was in December. So the shit that I write right now is gonna be slightly different, but you know, if it comes off real, and if it's real, it's gonna resonate. Like, it's always real because I live in the moment, like, every day. Like, you never know when you're gonna pass, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never know when I'm gonna pass. Like, I was just in a motorcycle accident in November that could have killed me. I was on the fucking freeway, and it's like, so I can never, like, hold up. I can never slow down. Like, I have to express myself every day in some way, shape, or form, just because I never know when I might not be able to anymore. That's really how I feel. That's why I drop so much shit all the time.
Do you listen to your own music a lot?
I listen to my own music more than anything because because like I said earlier, I mix and master all my shit. So just as much as I am a listener, like, I'm also, like, working in my head. I'm like, oh, I could have mixed this a little better. Maybe that's too much reverb on there. Like, man, how do I get this to sound a little more crisp? Like, why are the 808s so low? Like I'll constantly.
They're basically a drop kit.
Basically, I mean, nowadays I got my shit on lock, so, you know, I really do have to, like, pay attention and zone in on my shit a lot. I'm very analytical with that, so I do listen to my own shit a lot, and I genuinely enjoy it. I make music that I like to listen to, so of course I'm gonna listen to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't make it for other people. I make it for myself first and foremost. So it's my favorite music.
What do you think the impact Sesh How Waterboys has had on not only rap but music?
I think it's a bigger impact than anybody will ever admit at this point, and I don't know why people are so reluctant to just be like, yeah, they did that. You know what I mean? Like, they showed me that you could fucking make it without a label and, like, tour by yourself and shit like that. Like, me coming from, because I used to be in bands and shit, so me coming from a completely different scene, like a lot of people are all of a sudden now, you know, they're finally catching up. Like, I was mind blown that you could fucking even tour without a fucking, like, without a label and, like, without all that shit, you know what I'm saying? So that's what inspired me to fucking start trying to do this shit. And I feel like a lot of other people at that time were more inspired by that than they want to believe.
You started out inspired by them, and then you ended up producing.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, no, I've done, I did produce a song for Bones and Chris Travis. I remember I made the beat in Arizona, and I emailed it to him at, like, midnight, and he emailed me back and was like, this is beautiful, bro. And I was like, oh shit, you know, it just, like, blew my mind because I was, you know, nobody at the time. I mean, I'm still feel like I'm really not that big. I like where I'm at, kind of being in the cut, but it's like, you know, that shit was just a dope feeling. And then all of a sudden Bones is on the track when it drops, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I sent it to Chris. I didn't know they were both gonna be on it. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, a few months later, like, Bones used this beat that I sent to him in, like, 2014, and he used that shit in, like, 2017.
Oh, really?
2018? When did that shit drop? I don't remember when Failure dropped. I'm fucking drawing a blank because this new year is tripping me up. But I think either 2018 or 2017 Failure dropped, and it's like, I sent you that beat like 3-4 years ago, bro.
That's wild.
You know what I mean? Like, that shit tripped me out because I had sent him a bunch of beats from that time period. So, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're a producer and shit, like, don't stop, don't give up, and, like, don't think that your shit isn't recognized or isn't heard or isn't noticed. Like, even me, like, I accept beats from hella people too. Like, I have a folder with probably like 400 beats in it. I just can't write to all of them, or, like, some of them are just so good I don't want to write on them, to be honest.
Really?
Like, some of them I feel like I don't have a place on it. I'd be like, nah, I don't fit in with this. Like, it's dope, but I just don't fit on this. Like, so I just respect the beat and I don't use it. But it's like, I feel like producers should be more, like, less reluctant to, like, try to send out beats and try to reach out, because, I mean, I love working with other producers.
And you'll never know when it gets used.
Yeah, I'll never know.
And
you'd be surprised sometimes.
I've heard that you've talked to Bones recently about making more music. Is that true?
Yeah, I've spoken with Bones about making some music. I don't really know exactly when we're going to. or if we're actually gonna go all the way through with it. I know he's on tour right now, so shout out to him. Fucking shout out to 50 on tour. Get well soon to Catsuit and Drew, you know what I mean, from that accident. Shout out to Curtis. Have fun on that tour. But you know, it would be dope to make music with Bones, and I always have people like, hey, you should make music with Bones. Like, that's probably easily my most requested collaboration. But it's like, I'm not really hung up on doing that as much as I would like to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan, like, and like, he's a cool friend. But it's like, I'm not gonna like actively seek that.
Well, what's interesting is last year you didn't do any collaborations at all.
Yeah, actually, the only collaborations I do take that back, was I did that tape with Eddie Baker.
Oh, okay.
I did do that tape with Eddie Baker, but other than that tape, I didn't do a single feature last year, I don't think.
Do you want to keep doing that, or would you like to collaborate with more artists moving forward?
Well, I intentionally didn't do any features for a year because, like, I want to grow based off my own name, and I want to be respected for my own work, and I want to be respected just for me. You know what I'm saying? But now everybody knows what I can bring to the table. Like, now everybody knows, like, I've been around the United States twice, and I've been over to China and back. Like, I think I made enough of a name for myself for people to not be able to be like, oh, he just got put on by such and such. He just got put on by this and that. You know what I mean? So I do want to start reaching out and trying to find more artists that I could collaborate with, because collaboration is definitely fun, and, like, I feel like the community and the fans really appreciate it a lot. Like, they want to see me work with people, so, you know, I am trying to expand and step out of my shell a little bit as an artist, because, you know, I'm so introverted. Like, it's usually just easier for me to work by myself.
So, in your music, you talk about topics such as depression and suicide. So I think a lot of people seek solace in your music and can really relate to it. So a lot of fans were wondering if you had any advice about dealing with depression.
Dealing with depression is different for everybody, because everybody processes it differently, and also because everybody has different outlets for their depression and for what makes them feel better, or different means to trying to get around it. Like, I feel like you can't just put a one-size-fits-all on depression is what I'm trying to get at. Like, whether it's how you process it or how you get over it or overcome it. But what I will say is that the one thing you can't do is sit in your depression or let your depression confront you constantly. Like, you have to confront your depression. You have to step up to your depression instead of letting it come to you constantly. And you have to take ownership of your depression. You have to say, yes, I am depressed. Like, that's the beginning. But you can't just, like I said, you can't just sit there and just be depressed. After you decide that you're depressed, or after you realize that you're depressed, or after you're told that you're depressed, whatever the case is for you, like, what are you going to do about it? And that's ultimately what it comes down to. And for me, I expressed myself. I talked about it. I talked about it over beats that I could release publicly and, like, just feel like I could be myself and speak my mind, whereas in a lot of places in society, like at work and at school, it's not appropriate to talk about things like that, I guess. You know what I mean? So a lot of people feel like they get pushed back, or that maybe their feelings are less valid and shit like that. But it's not really the case. I feel like, for me, expressing it was a good outlet to help me cope with it. I'm not really over depression, I feel. I deal with depression every day still. But it's not so bad when you know that you do. And when you know that there are other things besides depression in your life too. Like, depression is just part of my life. It doesn't rule my life. It's not my life. I have friends that go out of their way to fucking see me and hang out and shit. Like, I appreciate that. Like, I find things to appreciate in life. You know, I like to eat. I appreciate that shit. I like making food for other people. I appreciate that shit. You know, hanging out, I appreciate that shit. Traveling and doing music, I appreciate that shit. You just have to find shit that you can appreciate, I feel.
So you told me that you have a pretty interesting plan for physical music, and you haven't released any physical music yet. So what can you tell me about that?
Right. I think I want to start doing like flash drive releases with merch, like because I've never really sold music because to me like when I was a kid I used to just download all my shit off LimeWire to keep it a whole stack. I downloaded all my shit for free like that, YouTube to MP3 like so like when I was a kid I was a little asshole and like I didn't pay for my music so I'm not gonna make other people pay for my music. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it. But it'd be cool to include it like with merch or something like that. You know, I've done cassettes because there's this company called Sleep Cult.
Yeah,
I
shout out
believe.
them.
Shout out Sleep Cult. Yeah, they're fucking dope. And they hooked me up like because I started working with them in like the beginning of their career, kind of. I feel, and like, but I told him I was like I don't sell music though, and he's like, look, this is what I'll do. I'll make you 100 cassettes for free, and I'll give them out for free on my website. Or he made 200. He gave me 100 for free that I could give out for free with shirts, and then he made 100 that he gave out for free with the purchase of other cassettes on his website. Like if they bought a cassette, they could add the OmenXIII for free, and it was really cool because he was supporting my standpoint on music and shit like that, while at the same time we were being able to give out something that people could hold and like have and keep. And it was like, you know, even once I had those cassettes in my hand, I was like, this is cool, you know what I mean? And I started to respect physical music a little bit more.
It is really interesting to have like something tangible you can hold and be like, this is music, because you don't really get that feeling anymore.
Right.
2019 or
exactly,
the
because everything is just like it drops on Spotify on this day, and like everybody's on that shit. Like nobody's waiting for a CD. Nobody's gonna go drive down and get in line to get a CD. Well, at least not very many people anymore. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So I feel like guys like Sleep Cult and guys like Black House Records like make like it's like almost documenting
Facts.
this music now.
No, and it is like documenting it, to be honest. Like when you go look at like Sleep Cult, for example, like on their Instagram they have like Smurf tapes, my tapes, fucking
just drop Bones
tape, fucking, which is really rare. I can't believe they actually worked that out. Yeah. Fucking, I think he has like Cold Heart tapes and Tracy tapes. I think, like, I just know he has a bunch of like different types of underground music tapes, and it's kind of cool like to look at his page, even though I don't necessarily talk to all these people or fuck with all these people like directly. It's like, hey, like this guy's got like a time capsule of like
exactly
2012 to 2016 music or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's just a dope look over time, and I really 100%. Started to respect that shit. It's pretty dope.
So you got the plans for the physical music. What are some of your other plans moving forward, looking into this new year? Moving
forward is actually really weird because I have so many things hanging over my head that I can do now that I just don't know what to choose sometimes. Like, you know, they want a United States tour. Like, Europe wants me to go over there. Australia wants me to go over there. Now that I've been to China, like, now all these other countries are like, oh, now you have to come over here. So it's like I want to try to get out of the country a little bit more. Like, that would be sick. I want to tour some more. That would be sick. I want to make more music. That would be sick. Like, just all the same shit, really, that I've been doing. Like, I do want to try to find something else that I could add to it, you know what I mean? Which I was going to start racing motorcycles, but then I got in that accident. So now I got to get another motorcycle so I can hopefully start racing, because that would be fun as fuck. I really want to hit a track, like really bad. If I could get into that, like, that would be sick. But, I don't know. We'll see. I'm a very haphazard kind of guy. I just go with the flow, like, if something comes up, like, I'll take it, or if I just decide I want to do something, like, I'll just do it. Like, I could just wake up one day and just book something. Like, it's no biggie. So, I don't know. I don't really think too far ahead into the future. That's something that I need to be working on a little bit more.
Sometimes it's nice to live in the moment, though.
It is, but you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to start working with this manager, and I'm trying to maybe get a booking agent. I'm trying to, like, move forward in some of the professionalist aspects of music now that I have a lot more leverage because of how far I have come independently. It's right. Like, I know everything like the back of my hand. Like, a booking agent isn't going to get over on me on like if we sell 100 tickets in Dallas at X venue, like I know how much X venue costs, like I know how much like this and that, like I know everything inside and out. Like you can't bullshit me because I've done it all myself already, you know what I'm saying? So I feel a lot more comfortable working with other people and shit now. And if I could do that, then I could just give the fans more what they want. I could do more shows, you know, I could put out more music, I could be more accessible and shit like that. Like I want to step out of my introverted shell a little bit. That's a big goal for me.
I'm excited to see it.
We'll see what's up.